Welcome to this module on cloud computing and AWS. In this module, we will talk about the AWS ecosystem, its services, and how you can implement AWS cloud services for your own needs. In this module, we will introduce you to the concept of cloud computing. In the context of Amazon Web Services, we will see how AWS is conquering the world of applications through the promise of scalability and sophistication. This is a foundational module. The information in this module will help you to understand the basics of cloud computing and why AWS has proven to be the cloud platform of choice for many companies around the world. In case you are already familiar with AWS and its service offerings, then feel free to skip this module and jump right onto the next module, in which we will talk about the core topic of this course. This is an overview of this module about cloud computing and AWS. Here are the key outcomes you can expect to take away from this module. After completing this module, you will be able to understand what cloud computing is and comprehend various benefits cloud computing provides. Discover why companies are switching over to cloud computing and in particular to AWS Cloud. Identify prime AWS users and learn why they are using it. Realize how AWS can help your business and expand it. Explore AWS services and learn to run your workloads using these services, and apply this knowledge and begin using AWS services for your own needs. Alright, so let's get started. Let's review the basics first and understand the most important and basic term, cloud computing. So what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is a general term used for the delivery of hosted services over the internet. Cloud is a broad and deep platform that helps customers build sophisticated, scalable applications. Cloud computing enables companies to consume a compute resource such as a virtual machine, storage, or an application as a utility, just like electricity. Rather than having to build and maintain computing infrastructure in-house, you can just pay or lease some time on these compute resources and use them for your purposes. Next, let's see why companies are switching over to cloud computing and in particular to AWS. Traditional methods of hosting and administering IT infrastructure meant we had to deploy monolithic data centers and physical servers. The lead time for this heavy infrastructure deployment was few days to few weeks. It needed large amounts of capital spending upfront. This model often led to energy wastage, low utilization, and high efforts for the administration of hardware servers. It was rather difficult to scale these operations very quickly, whether it was to expand the operation to meet growing demand or to shrink operations due to reasons like seasonality. Cloud is a generic term used for a platform that provides hosting services over a network. At the core of cloud computing is hardware virtualization. Because of this, cloud infrastructure can provide us access to shared pool of computing resources, which could be rented or leased on on-demand basis. Some of the main benefits and driving forces behind cloud computing are that cloud computing allows companies to avoid upfront infrastructure costs and focus on projects that differentiate their services and products. In the recent years, this has enabled technology startups to invent and come up with innovative technologies and products without worrying about spending a lot on upfront fixed infrastructure. Cloud computing allows enterprises to get their applications up and running faster with improved manageability and less maintenance. Cloud computing enables IT department to rapidly adjust resources to meet fluctuating and unpredictable business demand. Major cloud providers are vastly trying to use renewable energy sources to run their data centers. And they're also coming up with more efficient data center designs to reduce energy consumption per unit of computing resource. This obviously has tremendous advantages for the environment. Since cloud providers can manage their data centers more efficiently and cheaply, these savings can be passed on to the cloud consumers. The availability of high-capacity networks, low-cost computers, and storage devices, as well as the widespread adoption of hardware virtualization, service-oriented architecture, and atomic utility computing have led to a growth in cloud computing. Companies can scale up as computing needs increase and then scale down again as demands decrease. Cloud computing has become a highly demanded service or utility due to the advantages of high computing power, cheap cost of services, high performance, scalability, accessibility, as well as availability. Some cloud vendors are experiencing a growth rate of 50% year over year, which is just astounding. Cloud computing can be deployed in multiple configurations. The most popular configuration is, of course, a public cloud. These cloud services are provided by public cloud provider companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Rackspace, etc. Any individual or company can pay appropriate fee and buy the required services from these public cloud providers. The services are isolated for the individual customers so that there is no interference with other customers' data or compute resources. But the cloud consumers do not have any control over the underlying infrastructure and hardware of the cloud resources. When companies need more control over their infrastructure, they deploy shareable IT infrastructure in their private data centers. This provides the facility and convenience of a cloud company to all the consumers within the company, at the same time giving more control to the company over their resources. But in many situations, companies need to adopt a hybrid approach where they make use of both public and private cloud infrastructure. These two separate segments are joined via a secure network link, and the IT resources in both public and private clouds can talk to each other. This configuration is called a hybrid cloud.